It's really easy to forget that signing day is tomorrow, and Auburn is expected to land an absolute stud.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first or second listen every single day. This is a bonus edition of the show. Ben Taylor over at the Auburn Network, host of Auburn Opalaga this morning, hanging out with us for a few minutes. It's so funny, Ben. I mean, this used to be like Christmas Eve for a lot of people. The day before National Signing Day, it was essentially a national holiday. People across the country would call out sick for work or use vacation time. And now it's like really easy to forget that tomorrow is signing day. And Auburn is expected to sign Omar Mabson, the very talented Auburn high school running back who reclassified from the 26 class to the 25 class. But with the portal and with early signing day, this is almost just like another day for a lot of programs.
Oh, it's just for life in general. It's another day. I mean, this was the day when I was in college, we skipped class because you could I think there was only maybe one message board service that you could get updates from. You had to basically, if you were part of a media organization, wait for the faxes to come in to see who was going to be signing. And now, I don't know, if you get 3 or 4 signed on this day, that's cool. Like, that's a big day. And now with all the media services as well as social media, I mean, Twitter's changed a lot because you literally have people boots on the ground that'll be like, so-and-so's fax just came in. And so it's, December is the big day now. This is the day before, or this is the week before the Super Bowl. People are more interested in the Super Bowl than they are, college athletics. But Omar Mabson, what a great get for Auburn. Zach, I've been high on him since
you're very high on him. Yeah.
Since high school. I mean, we, at the Auburn Network, we cover Omar, and when he played for Auburn High, when he reclassified, I thought that would upset a lot of people. No, a lot of people were all for it. They thought they were very supportive of him. Yeah. They thought that was a good decision on his part. And a lot of comparisons between he and Alvin Henderson. And I'll go on record. I told Zach a long time ago, I was like, I think Omar's a better back. I understand the numbers are better for Alvin, but I just liked what I saw out of Omar. And everybody goes, yeah, but that's your bias because your kids go to Auburn High and you cover Auburn
they're
High.
Totally different situations. I mean, Alvin playing against, a much lower level of classification in the state of Alabama. Omar, Auburn being, the 7A powerhouse. I mean, it's just, they're totally different situations. I mean, they were in different classes. Like Omar's a year younger than Alvin. I think their styles are fairly different as well. I don't think they'll be used the same way. And so to me, it's like, who cares which one's better than the other? That'll work itself out as far as who wins the job either next year or the following year. We'll see how long it takes for one of them to kind of seize the starting role at Auburn. But they're both very promising prospects at the running back position, and that should really be all that matters here.
I think they're very complimentary of one another. I think
agree.
It's something that you would be able to see. You go back in time, we look at Cadillac and Ronnie. I think that's the same type backfield that you're going to see. Very similar running styles to both of those backs as well. Omar also, just from what I've seen in high school, because at Elba, Alvin didn't have to catch the ball out of the backfield because they didn't have a quarterback that was going to throw it out of the backfield. So I don't know where his hands are. Maybe, the coaches know more about that, or when they've seen him work out, maybe they say, okay, his hands are better than we thought. That's probably the undecided with him. But with Omar, Auburn High threw the ball around a lot. They used him for a lot of screens, a lot of dump offs. So he's got good hands, great in space, as well as he can take some contact. I do have a concern with Omar, and that is he played injured a lot of his senior year. I don't know how much of that is going to be carrying over into the spring as well as into this next season. So hopefully he's just rehabbing and getting himself better so he can come in the fall and be full force.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with him being kind of a late signee because he is I guess it'd be his junior year. Junior year, right? So with him not being on campus yet, I can't imagine he's doing a whole lot of spring. I mean, he may He may watch Auburn high schools. He may watch Auburn universities, but he's not going to be partaking in any of that. So surely he's going to be healthy and ready to go. I assume he'll enroll early summer is typically how that works. So he'll be ready. And also, like, how much is he going to be needed this year? You and I've had that discussion. You kind of had some juicy takes about, maybe he plays more than some of the folks that are already on campus, which that'd be a great situation for Omar.
If healthy.
Yeah. I think I just don't think we see a whole lot of him his true freshman year, but maybe as a redshirt freshman or a true sophomore the following season, depending on what happens with Auburn's presumed top two backs with Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Austin. I think you're going to see all of these guys kind of get a role quickly within their first 2 years at Auburn.
I will say this, great team guy. And the reason I know that is Jacob Goins, he's the voice of the Auburn High Tigers. And talking with him about Omar, apparently Omar's totally okay with coming in and redshirting or at least taking a very sub role as opposed to everybody else and kind of learning from the older guys that are there. So he's made that like apparent to the coaching staff where people have said, hey, he can go anywhere because he's a very good back in the state of Alabama. Yeah. Why would he go to Auburn when you have a lot of upperclassmen ahead of him where he may not get a chance to start? And Omar has said, I still have a lot to learn. I'm okay with that role of learning year one and then stepping in year two and being a bigger part of the process. So I didn't know that till after you and I did our last pod, whenever I had thrown out there that, I could see him being the third back in the rotation.
Sure.
And having more of a role. But the fact that he's willing to accept that he may redshirt or may just not get the time that he wants, because look at where it's going, Zach. Everybody's going to get 5 years now if they want it. So, why redshirt? Just play when you can, and you're still going to get your 5th year.
Yeah,
you'll figure it out.
When you run out of eligibility, just sue the NCAA. They'll give you more time. They'll give you more time. Like, sorry, leave us alone. We're so sorry.
It's that easy. We don't want to be sued. So you want 7 years? Cool. We'll do 7.
It's like, because we're probably wrong. Like, you're probably right, and the NCAA is probably wrong, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Not expecting a whole lot of movement in the rankings on National Signing Day. So Auburn should hold steady. We'll take a quick look at what that means for the Tigers next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Ben, can you imagine buying tickets anywhere other than with Game Time?
Oh, this is my favorite ad. I love this ad.
Yeah, you do. You do. Game Time is my favorite place to buy tickets. I've been using Game Time Picks for a while now. They've got curated deals that make it super simple to find great tickets at a great price. No more shifting through thousands of options. It just says, hey, here's the best value, the best bang for your buck. And you can make your next event even better. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that is code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Ben, what time is it?
Game time!
Yes! Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first or second listen every single day. Happy signing day eve. It still feels weird saying that.
It's totally.
Just who cares at this point?
Look, over the weekend,
I think you should be able to sign whenever you want. Like after early signing day, they should just leave the window open and you got to close it at some point. But just sign whenever you like. When Omar committed last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was.
Why couldn't he sign? Yeah,
I think you just let him sign. Let's don't even make this a thing anymore.
And why do you still have to fax it in? That's so stupid.
I thought they changed that. Do you still have to fax it?
No, I've been making fun of that for you. I hope they didn't. I hope you still have to fax it in.
I think it should be let's just make it DocuSign. That's what everything else is. DocuSign is great.
I know. And they're like, but that's not legal. That's the NCAA. That's not legal. It's like, it's legal for you to sign your mortgage papers doing that. I don't understand why you can't do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty big deal. That's a 30-year commitment.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a financial guy, he's sending you DocuSign, and you can sue him if he doesn't do things correctly. So
that's right.
I don't understand it. But
yeah, I mean, it seems pretty binding at this point. I don't know.
But I had a guy this past weekend. He was like, are you ready for signing day? I was like, oh, that's this week. I had kind of
same thing, dude. Same thing. We recorded the SEC squad that'll drop Thursday afternoon. We talked about that. I'm like, oh yeah, all right. I guess we get Omar this week. That's exciting. But most of the other hosts, they're not getting anybody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at least Auburn's getting a really good player tomorrow. Supposedly, I mean, he's committed. I can't imagine him not signing with Auburn. But Auburn's rank is 6th. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of movement. I actually don't think you see any movement in the top 10 based on what happens.
Give me 5. Omar doesn't move him to 5.
No, because he's not ranked that high because
It's wild.
Well, he jumped a year. Like you just kind of see that massive fall when you go for when you classify up a year. So, I mean, people are going to see 3-star everywhere, but this is a 4-star player, I think, across the board if he were to stay in the 2026 class, but whatever, who cares? So I think Auburn's going to finish with the 6th overall class. And when you look ahead to the 2026 class and what they did last year, like you're going to see multiple top 7, top 6 classes in a row at this point. And that's what this takes. That's what this rebuild takes. And so for all the folks who are questioning Hugh Freeze, it's like this was his plan from the get-go. I think some of the play calling was very suspect, and I definitely think that deserves some criticism. But as far as building the program, this is what it looks like.
Does that change play call now that he's in the year that he bragged about, or not bragged about, but kind of touted going into this, where he said, year three. All we ever heard about was 2025 and beyond. So do we see a difference in coaching now that you've gotten a couple of top 10 classes? Because even Zach, even if Omar doesn't, I don't see him jumping, but if he were to go somewhere else, somebody said, hey, we're going to offer you this ton of money, NIL. And
yeah, I mean, it doesn't dramatically change the class at all.
They're not going to drop out of the top 10. So
they won't move.
Yeah, it's still a top 10 class.
Top 6 class. Yeah.
Top 6 class. So I do wonder if we see a difference this fall as far as, from what we've seen the last couple of years, because it's to that point where everything has happened that we've been told it was going to happen, even though we Auburn fans we expect a little bit more. And it's some of the heartbreak, the 4th and forever that Auburn loses, which could have been a win, that kind of thing. But now with these top 10 classes and the quality of athlete that is on campus at Auburn, I think Auburn fans are kind of wanting to see some more dubs.
No, you need it. You need it as a coach, as a program. And I'm still of the mindset it would take a lot for him to get let go. And some people push back on that. Some people are saying 7-5 gets him. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think it's the best case for Auburn to move on from him. I do have questions on the play calling and do you need to hire a real offensive coordinator? I think that's probably the next step if Auburn looks the same as last year. But Auburn's offense statistically was good. They just didn't score points.
Yeah.
And so how much of that truly was quarterback play? Because it kind of seems like a lot of that was pinned on Peyton. And we're going to see if that's true or not. We're going to see. I think with Ashton Daniels, the transfer from Stanford, and then obviously Deuce Knight, the 5-star quarterback, I think it allows you to have a shorter leash on Jackson Arnold.
Yes.
If it doesn't work, if he can't get his mind right or regain his confidence, it's like, all right, sorry, this stinks for everyone, but this isn't going to work. And so I think I think it is a little bit different than Peyton's situation last year. I think they wanted to pull Peyton, but they couldn't. And we saw a little bit with Hank, Holden wasn't ready. And then, I don't think Walker was ready. And that's nothing against any of those guys. It's just the gap between Peyton and those other guys was larger than we all wanted to admit it was, myself included. And so I think they fixed that issue as well. So it is just amazing to look back at the last 2 seasons. And it's like, if the 4th and 31 doesn't happen in his first Iron Bowl, or if you don't throw a pick 6 against Oklahoma, or you don't have this total collapse against Missouri, it's amazing how different everything feels. You don't need a lot more. You just need to close out a game. And to me, it's just, they're so close. They've been so close, and they have a much better roster and a more favorable schedule. If you can't do it this year, and it depends on what it looks like, but I think it would be somewhat concerning.
If you don't hold on every kickoff where you start every drive from
they've revamped. They have revamped special teams for sure.
Yeah, they needed to for sure.
We'll see.
It just is. I'm with you about the Hugh Freeze thing, and the reason, 7-5. Yeah, I think he's got to pull a Chiswick in order to get let go. I think he's got to go over in the SEC for them to move on to another coach. And the reason being is because of the plan that's been put in place with, you just mentioned Deuce Knight, but I mean, the Omar Mabsons, the Alvin Hendersons, all these people that he's bringing in, as well as the defensive side of the football and what you have there. So, Yeah, I mean, I know that you can do ifs and buts over the last couple of years, but you're so correct that a ball bounces this way or that way, or a holding penalty here, or
the perception's totally different.
Yeah.
If Brock Bowers doesn't take over that game in the last 5
goodness.
minutes, 2 years ago against Georgia, I mean, there's so many things where it's like they've been so close so many times. And at some point, they've just got to figure out how to win. And you've got to figure out how to win close games before you can do anything else. And they haven't really done that yet.
Do you think that culture, though, in the locker room is changing? Because we've heard things that, the younger generation that didn't lose ball games in high school, they're getting here and they're going, all right, we got to change things here. It's not like an okay win is not a good win. We need to dominate. We need to play better. We need to get off the field. It's a different scenario.
A ton of stories of younger guys standing up to older guys in the locker rooms. Like, why aren't you upset? And then the older guys being upset about that instead of losing the game. And so I think that's good. And I also, every time we talked about this last year, the response was, well, Auburn's about to lose all of those young guys. And it didn't happen.
No.
It didn't happen.
No.
So I think culturally it is a step in the right direction.
And it hasn't really happened in the past, Zach. Everybody kind of goes back and they go, yeah, Auburn's going to they've been losing. I'm like, they haven't been losing them.
Auburn has
retained their people.
Outside of Bo Nix, who's a guy who's left that was devastating?
And the thing is the Bo Nix thing, I think, was more personal / family /
there were factors at play for sure. Yeah.
I don't think it was because he hated Auburn by any means. He still comes back and goes to ball games, for goodness sake. So, other than Bo Nix, who's left that is just, you sit there and you go, see, this staff can't keep them. And it's like, no, that's not happening.
Right.
So,
and there are guys that left that I wish would have stayed, but it didn't hurt the pro.
Right.
Would it have helped to have Kobe Hudson 2 years ago? Maybe.
Would it have given Auburn 2 more wins if you'd have had him?
I don't think it gives you an extra win.
Yeah.
I just don't. But there were guys that have entered there. I'm like, oh, dang. Okay. All right. Well, good luck at the next place type thing. But
Bo Nix gives Auburn probably a couple extra wins over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, that's really the only one I can think of. Let us know in the comments down below or over at the barn if you can think of any other ones. But Ben, thanks for your time as always, my guy. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Monday through Friday, 6 to 9. And we do sports just after 7. We have a Locked On Wednesday segment. We have a Top Button Tuesday, speaking of the barn, with the Charlie 5.
Yes.
Kyle Rush. A Double D Mondays. So you guys go and check us out. You can go to newstalkwani.com or aunetwork.com and click on that WANI logo and you'll catch it there.
Yes. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.